Hey, this is Pastor Dave, and this is your Monday Mojo. Hope you had a great weekend. I know I did. Drinking out of a different mug today because we're in a different place. We're here at Travelers Point Distillery with my good friend Melvin Lytton.
Howdy.
And I want to ask him a question so he can set the stage for what I want to talk about. Those of you who drink bourbon might know this, but some of you might not know this. What is it that technically makes a bourbon a bourbon?
Well, if you go by the caveat of law, and it is federally regulated, the mash must contain at least 51% corn. It has to be distilled at no higher than 159 proof. We can add no sugar either. We have to extract the sugar out of the grain. It has to be barreled at no higher than 124 proof. And it has to set in a new American white oak barrel that has been charred for a minimum of 2 years.
That's what makes a bourbon a bourbon.
That's what makes a bourbon a bourbon.
Okay, so we're starting off here. This is the fermenter, right?
Correct.
This is where the mash is, where that recipe you just talked about is, right?
Correct. We cook it, extract the sugars out, or the starches out, convert them to sugar, add the yeast, and the yeast eat the sugar, and they do a wonderful job. They create magic.
Magic.
Yes,
Magic
sir.
fluid. All right, so we're going to head on over this way. It's kind of like Mr. Rogers' neighborhood. We're going, on a field trip today. So here we got this is the mash tun, T-U-N. This is where the mash goes into to cook. And then this is the still, and this is right here, you see the stream coming out. That is lovely magic alcohol being made right here at Travelers Point Distillery. Now here's the interesting thing. In order for it to be a bourbon, you heard Mel tell you the story, the things that it has to have in order to be a bourbon. I've been a pastor for quite some time now, and what I've discovered is that Christianity has really gotten a bad name. And I think part of the reason for that is because we don't make Christians like we used to. So let me break that down. In order to be a Christian, it takes more than just one part of the recipe. In order to be a bourbon, it has to have all 5 of those things he talked about. In order to be a Christian, you got to be more than just a believer. So let's just say that 51% corn is being a believer. But if you just believe, that doesn't make you a Christian any more than the devil, who actually believes in God and Jesus. So you have to combine something else with that. You've got to be a learner, okay? So you have to be a disciple, somebody who learns more and saying, Jesus, teach me more about what it means to be a Christian. So if you're going to be a Christian, you've got to believe that this story is true. You got to believe in the Son, you got to believe in the Father, but you also have to be a learner. You have to be saying, I need to grow and I need to learn more. But that's not it. You could be a learner and you could be a believer and you could be a very mean person. I've met some, okay? So you have to also let love become part of who you are. Let it soak into who you are, and you become a person who accepts and values people and loves people. But even more than that, Jesus had a very specific invitation to people. He said this, follow me. You know what that implies? That to be a Christian means you've got to follow. And it also implies that Jesus is going somewhere. So to be a Christian is to believe. It's to be a learner. It's to be filled with love. And it's to be a person who goes where Jesus goes. Well, you say, well, Jesus is not here today, Dave. But the Spirit of God leads us to places and to people. And we need to pay attention to that and go. And I believe if we put those kinds of things together, just like this recipe for bourbon, we'll have magic. We'll have a product that people will want to be around, just like they wanted to be around Jesus. Anyway, that's my thought. That's your Monday Mojo for this week. Thanks for joining me here with Mel at Travelers Point Distillery. Have a great week.